Hi there. My name is Emily, and today I'm going to be doing a video about my experience at the UBC Sleep Disorders Clinic. I did this program about a year ago, and I remember going onto YouTube and not really seeing anything from this specific sleep disorders program here in Vancouver. Most of the ones I was seeing were based in the States, and I was really hoping to get some, oh, here's my cat, one of them, was really hoping to get a bit more information and some visuals maybe about what the program had looked like, and then had these great plans of filming the video, and I'm just getting to it today. So I thought I would just start by saying that I was very grateful and very lucky to be able to take this test. I know it's a privilege and there's not a lot of seats available, and so I was very lucky that I was able to get a spot. I was referred to the program through my rheumatologist, and I was referred to the rheumatologist from my family doctor. So that's kind of how that route happened. And it took quite a long while for me to be able to get the actual program booked. I think it was maybe 6 months to a year, maybe even, until I actually was able to get a bed for the study. My situation with sleep, I won't go into a lot of detail, but is basically that I can sleep throughout the night, but my dreams are so intense and so vivid to the point where I don't feel rested in the morning. And so throughout the day, I'll feel very tired and need to rely on my naps and such throughout the day to be able to get through the day. So that's a little bit of a different situation than most people, I think, who go to the sleep disorders clinic, because they are, from my understanding, more likely unable to sleep through the night. And so that would be more relevant to something like sleep apnea, for example. But regardless, my rheumatologist at the time thought it was a good idea to just get checked out and see what all the possibilities are. So that's what I did. So I thought what I would do is just walk you through the day of. When I have photos from the day to kind of represent what I'm talking about, I'll put them here in the video, but otherwise I'll just kind of go through what that day looked like, and hopefully it's helpful to someone like yourself maybe who may be wanting to do this program, or maybe you're signed up for it and just want to get an idea of what to expect. So I hope that you enjoy it, and feel free to comment below or reach out to me if you have any questions or want to learn any more about my experience. Very happy to chat through anything. Let's get started. I was also going to say that I did 2 studies there. So there's a nighttime sleep study that I started with first, and then of the people that were in the sleep clinic at the same time as me, I think there was maybe 4 or 5 of us, it seemed like everybody else went home and it was only me that stayed for the daytime sleep study. And there are 2 types of daytime sleep studies from what I understand. I did the MSLT, so that's the Multiple Sleep Latency Test. This is the one that I did. So the first thing I did was arrive at 7:45 p.m. on the evening to start the nighttime routine. I was greeted with a very nice surprise, because my reading buddy from elementary school, who was in kindergarten when I was in grade 6, was actually one of the staff people there. So it was a really nice way to start the sleep study, because I hadn't seen her for quite a long time. And it was really nice to have that connection. It made me feel less nervous, because I went into it, as I said, having not been able to find much online about it, went in feeling very nervous about what the whole experience was going to be like. So definitely helped put me at ease. So by 8 o'clock, 50 minutes later, I was shown to the room, encouraged to get changed into my pajamas, something comfortable, settled in, showed me where the different amenities were in the room and such, and let me kind of set up the room to be comfortable to myself. It was just 15 minutes later again, so 8:15 is when the evening technician came in to introduce herself and go over a little bit of what happened. She had asked me what time I usually sleep at night, and I said, at the time it was about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, but I said I could sleep earlier as well if that was easier. So she had said she'd come back around 9:30 to 10 o'clock, and in the meantime I could just keep settling in or read a book or do whatever I wanted to do until I was ready. So I think I took some photos from what I remember and just messaged some people and set up for the evening. So she was gonna come back between 9:30 and 10, but didn't end up coming back until 10:45, because she was dealing with the other patients at the time, and it sounds like some of the other people had a bit more questions and things they were wondering about. So it took a little bit longer for her to get to my room, but she did at about 10:45. At this point, she was with me for about 45 minutes. and is when all of the wires and such got hooked up to my head and body and all the things. So I'll go over all the different parts that I got wires attached to, and again, photos to hopefully help with some of the visuals. Okay, so one thing is that they put gel on my hair so that they could attach wires to my face and to my head. So it's kind of this gloopy, glue-like mixture that they put so that the wire can stick and stay into your head and be secure for me, for evening, and then also for the daytime all next day. I also had 2 kind of straps horizontally, 2 across my chest, 2 on my legs as well. And then they had a nose attachment, kind of like an oxygen looking thing, but it was just a monitor to be able to monitor my breathing. And so that was also strapped on. So with the face, the nose, the chest strap, and the leg straps, those were the main monitors that happened. And then we did a bunch of testing. So the technician goes to a room a little further away and talks to you through a speakerphone and asks things like move your eyes to the left, to the right, look up, look down, take deep breaths, all these things. And then while I'm doing these things, she's monitoring it and looking in the camera to make sure that the monitors are picking up all the movement accurately. Had to make some audible things like make a snoring noise and things like that. So after all the tests, it ended about 11:30, and then at 11:30 is when I tried to sleep. It was not too bad. At that point I was quite tired, and so I think I fell asleep fairly easily from what I remember. It was definitely been uncomfortable and there are a lot of wires, but you can move around as long as I think you have to start on your back, and then kind of if your body naturally moves throughout the night, then it was okay. So slept through the night as much as I could. 7 a.m. is when I woke up. That's also when most of the other patients went home, or I think all of them went home. They took off some of the wires, but left some of them on as well, I think. And then they give you your little purse for the day. So all of the wires get plugged into a little machine, and the machine gets strapped around you, kind of like a crossbody bag. And then you get to walk around with the purse throughout the day. At this point, the technicians switched over, so I met the daytime technician who's going to be taking care of me for the daytime test. I had thought maybe I'll have a chance to wash my face and such, but because all the wires are still attached to your face, or at least some of them are, you won't have a chance to wash your face. One thing I learned during this time that I think would have been helpful to know ahead of time is that the pajamas you wear at nighttime are going to be the same clothes you wear during the day the whole next day. So I kind of wish that I didn't go for such obvious looking pajamas, because I just, you're walking around the hospital during the day. I wish I went for something that was more like a sweatpant that could kind of look a bit casual without actually being clearly pajamas. But you're in the sleep disorders clinic, so people aren't going to judge you. So after I woke up, met the technician and everything, I went and had breakfast at the cafeteria down the hall. And then at 9 o'clock is when I did my first of the daytime tests. So there's a series of tests you do throughout the day. So what this daytime test entails is you getting into bed, all the lights are off, you lay there, you do the same test again, check your eyes, do some heavy breathing and such to make sure the monitors are working. And then you lay there for 20 minutes and they measure whether you fall asleep or not. When the 20 minutes is done and you wake up, there's a form you fill out after each test to say whether you fell asleep or not. And if you do think you fell asleep, how long it took you to fall asleep, and then whether you dreamt while you were sleeping. So I did one of those tests at 9 a.m. I did another test at 11 a.m. And then by 12 a.m. it was ready for lunch. In between all of these tests, the hospital is pretty open to you. So I stayed on the same floor, just kind of in that wing. Tried to do some walks up and down the hallway. I brought some crafts with me. I brought a book with me. Just kind of tried to get out of the room as much as I could, but also just kind of stuck close by. I also brought my laptop, so I was able to use their Wi-Fi there and get some emails done and such. So it's just kind of your time to do what you want to do in those times between. So then we're at noon, and I had lunch in the cafeteria. So this was when the hospital became the most busy because patients from different wings came together. There were staff there. They were maybe looked like students nearby. And so it filled up quite a lot. And so I felt a little bit self-conscious because I had all the wires in me and just kind of walking around, and I was the only one with all those wires set up. I'm sure they've all seen people with wires there, so I don't think anyone even batted an eye, but you can't help just feel a little bit self-conscious. in that way. So luckily Henry, my husband, was on campus the same day, so he was able to come and sit with me, so at least I had a buddy, and that helped a lot. So at this point we're kind of near the end of the day already. We did a 1 o'clock test, then we did a 3 o'clock test, again in between doing the same things that I did in the morning. The last test I did of the day was at 5 o'clock, and then by 5:30 that was wrapped up. And so the technician was helping me take all the wires off. They did a little bit of trying to take the goop out of the hair, but it gets quite stuck in there. So there is an option for you to shower at the facility if you want to. But Henry had come to pick me up by car, so we were going to be able to just go straight home. But if you're planning to go out afterwards or do anything else, then I would recommend taking the shower option, because it does feel quite uncomfortable and your hair is like quite matted because of all the goop, and you hadn't showered for a couple days. And then that was basically it. By 5:30 they were taking the wires off. By 6 o'clock I was heading back home. It took a little while to get the results back. I think it was maybe a few months, maybe 3 months by the time that they get all the results, compile all the results, and then have the time for the doctor to be able to follow up with you. And I'm still working with the doctor even a year later to try and figure out a little bit more of what's going on. And so that's because for me it wasn't a clear sleep apnea problem. If it was, then usually, from what I understand anyways, the route is to get a CPAP machine and try that as a method. But because my sleep apnea was so mild, we're kind of in the point where we could try some things, but it's not very clear that it's going to be an actual solution. So we're just looking into options. It was a really interesting experience. Again, very grateful that I had access to it and was able to do it. I think the hardest part was just not really knowing what to expect. Something that really helped me, actually, I just remember this when I was getting the wires in. We had just finished watching Wednesday, the Netflix TV show, and I was trying to channel my inner Wednesday, because it feels kind of strange, you're having all these wires attached to you, and you're getting these bands around you and all these things, and it's kind of uncomfortable and kind of gross and like clinical feeling. But I was trying to channel my inner Wednesday, because I feel like she would really like that and be interested in it and just kind of let it happen. And so that mindset really helped me. So I hope that if you are going into that test, I hope that it yields interesting and helpful results for you, and that it's also a good experience for you overall as well. Again, feel free to reach out anytime if you have any questions that I can help answer with my limited memory a year later. But I hope it helps, and wishing you all the best, and take care. Thanks for watching.